For decades, some disappearances fade like prints on a beach. Others carve themselves deeper with time. Amy Lynn Bradley's case is the latter, a shadow that grows longer each year. Tonight, we return to the last hours everyone could agree on. The tiny, stubborn facts that refuse to disappear. The image of a young woman sitting on a balcony at dawn, a cigarette lighter beside her, the ocean a slow-moving black beneath the ship, and then, 30 minutes later, nothing at all. Close your eyes for a moment and picture it. The Rhapsody of the seas cutting a silver line across a Caribbean morning, the ship creaking softly as it approached port. People slept. People smiled. Somewhere inside, a family slept with their daughter safe, until she wasn't. Amy was 23, a graduate, a swimmer, a daughter who loved her family and loved life. She'd danced the night before. She'd laughed with her brother. She'd returned to the family suite in the small hours. A timestamp recorded their return. 3:40 a.m. digital locks, ordinary detail, later to be pinned to a timeline that investigators would examine for decades. At 5:15 a.m., Ron Bradley woke and saw Amy sitting on the balcony chair. He spoke with her briefly. He would later describe her as calm, as ordinary, the way she had always been. He closed his eyes and slept again. At roughly 6 a.m., he opened them to a gulf. Amy was gone. Her lighter and a pack of cigarettes were gone too. Her shoes remained. Her purse remained. Her ID remained. Nothing suggested she packed up and left on purpose. No shouts, no sound of struggle on those vinyl decks. Nothing. From that simple, clinical fact, one chair empty, one cigarette lighter missing, 1,000 theories grew. Was it an accident? Was it suicide? Did she slip, tumble into the cold, indifferent water? The search teams, the Coast Guard, the ship's staff, they turned over the sea and the ship quickly. No trace, no body, no clothing caught on a railing, no recorded fall. That absence has the weight of an accusation. Something more than the water took her. Yet within the simplest moments of that morning, other facts existed that made the accident theory difficult to accept. Amy was a lifeguard, a trained swimmer. She knew the ocean. She knew currents. She had steady hands and calm breath. The family insisted she had plans, new work, a life waiting. She didn't burn bridges. She didn't leave essentials behind unless she intended not to return. But everything was left behind. Among the earliest witnesses, there are threads we must not ignore. Several passengers later described seeing Amy in the ship's public spaces the hours before dawn. Some witnesses recounted a man near her, not shouting, not rough, but oddly present, watching, close enough to be noticed, distant enough to be forgotten in the swirl of music and light. It's the nature of such details, unreliable in isolation, explosive together. Decades of investigations depend on woven testimonies like this. A face in a crowd, a flash of a hand, a drink passed between fingers. Because here's the most precise and chilling detail. Several different witnesses later described the same small scene. Amy with a band member, a musician with the stage name Yellow, a glass, music, laughter, a brief walk toward an upper deck. 10 minutes later, Yellow returned alone. Amy did not. Hold that minute in your mind. The band member leaves. He navigates corridors the crew use. He moves into areas not everyone notices. 10 minutes stretch into 30 minutes and into a gap that swallows a person. Investigators would later call this the critical window. It was narrow and ordinary and therefore easy to miss. But every cold case investigator knows the most ordinary minutes can hide the most intentional acts. What complicates this ordinary night is the ship itself. Cruise ships are giant, efficient machines designed to move quickly. Passengers on and off, cargo on and off, linen and trash and food. When a possible crime intersects with such manufacturing of movement, evidence slips through the cracks. At dawn, when a ship arrived in Curaçao, passengers were allowed to disembark. The ship did not call a full, formal missing person alert. They did not hold the passengers or the crew. People poured onto the quay. Buses, taxis, shopkeepers. A humming crowd swallowed opportunities to hold people still for questioning. This is where two stories diverge. The family remembers frantic searches, pleading with the ship to stop the disembarkation. The public record shows thousands of faces leaving without identification checks. The ship claimed to have assisted, but timelines and testimony later suggested steps were missed. A cabin not checked, a service stair not inspected, a crew locker untouched. And because the world continued moving, the trail did too. The ship moved out of one jurisdiction and into another. Every hour meant more movement, more chance for a person to be moved, hidden, or swallowed by a network that did not leave fingerprints. If someone wanted to take Amy off that ship without drawing notice, how could they do it? Through back stairways, through service lifts, hidden cargo routes, or in plain sight, onshore, a taxi, a small boat, a waiting van. Every one of those pathways existed. Which one was used? That question would become the investigation's evening prayer and waking nightmare. Listen closely. A taxi driver in Curaçao later claimed he picked up a barefoot, frightened woman the night Amy vanished. Divers some months later reported a woman on a beach who matched Amy's build. A former sailor described a woman in a brothel, whispering her name. All of these claims were questioned, contested, and never fully verified. Yet collectively, they form a pattern that cannot be ignored. We are not yet at certainty. We are at a map of possible movements and missing confirmations. The ship's pace, the crowd's movement, the quiet man in the band. All of it points toward a single, stubborn fact. Amy was last publicly seen with someone who was not family, not friend. A person whose proximity and behavior demanded attention and later would demand explanation. And so Chapter 1 ends on this quiet terror. A young woman awake on a balcony, a cigarette lighter gone, a man who walked away without her, and a ship that continued like nothing had happened. If the most ordinary minutes hide the answer, who held the stopwatch? Who chose the exact minute that would erase a life from the public spaces of a ship? The answer waits in the shadows of the passages below deck.